My name is Pamela and I was 22 years old. When my life split cleanly into a before and an after, I still remember the exact words, the exact tone, the exact way the room felt smaller after my dad said them. Your brother has real potential. You should learn a trade. That was how he explained why my brother convinced my parents to give him my entire college fund. All 175K of it. There was no argument in his voice, no apology, just a shrug like he was explaining the weather. Until that moment, I had believed that the money set aside since I was a child was a promise, not a gift. A promise that if I worked hard, stayed out of trouble, got good grades, there would be a path forward. In one conversation, that promise disappeared. It happened on a Sunday afternoon, the kind of day that pretends to be peaceful. My mom had made coffee. My brother sat back in his chair, relaxed, confident, already accepted into a private university he couldn't afford without help. I was still waiting on final confirmations, still planning majors, still dreaming. When my dad said my name, I thought he was about to congratulate me for my grades. Instead, he cleared his throat and said they'd made a family decision. That phrase still makes my stomach tighten. He explained that my brother needed the money more, that his future had more upside, that I was practical and resilient. Then came the line that burned itself into me. Your brother has real potential. You should learn a trade. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just walked out that door. I didn't slam it. I didn't say anything dramatic. I grabbed my jacket, felt my hands shaking, and left. Behind me was my childhood home, the place I thought was safe. In front of me was nothing but a cracked sidewalk and a future I suddenly had to invent from scratch. That night, I slept on a friend's couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying my dad's shrug over and over. I realized something terrifying and clarifying at the same time. No one was coming to save me. The next few months were brutal. I worked wherever I could. Coffee shops, late-night diners, retail shifts that left my feet burning. I enrolled in a local trade program because, ironically, my dad was right about one thing. I needed skills that paid. I learned fast, not because I loved it at first, but because failure wasn't an option. Every time I wanted to quit, I heard his voice in my head, calm and dismissive, telling me to learn a trade. So I did that, and then I learned another and another. I took night classes, certifications, anything that stacked. While my brother posted photos from campus lawns and weekend parties, I was studying with grease-stained hands and dark circles under my eyes. The hardest part wasn't the work. It was the silence. My parents rarely called. When they did, it was small talk like nothing had happened. My brother never once thanked me, not once acknowledged that his comfort was built on something taken from me. I learned to stop expecting fairness from people who had already shown me who they were. I learned to be quiet, focused, relentless. Every paycheck I saved, every opportunity I chased, I built a reputation for being reliable, for fixing problems others called in single quotes T. Slowly, painfully, momentum shifted. By the time I was 25, I wasn't surviving anymore. I was building. I moved cities. I took risks. I partnered with people who valued results over pedigree. I failed, recalibrated, tried again. And somewhere in the middle of all that, the anger that once kept me awake turned into fuel. I stopped measuring my life against my brother's milestones. I measured it against my own progress. The girl who walked out that door at 22 was scared and broke. But she was also free. Free from expectations that were never meant for me. Free to define success on my own terms. 5 years passed faster than I expected. I didn't announce my wins. I didn't post much online. I didn't correct the assumptions my family made about me. Let them think I was getting by. Let them believe the story they told themselves to feel comfortable because the truth was quieter, heavier, and far more satisfying. I had built something real, something no one could take away with a shrug. And then 5 years later, they showed up at my office. I wasn't expecting them. I was in the middle of a meeting when the receptionist said my parents were downstairs. For a moment, I considered not going. I could have sent them away, but curiosity won. I wanted to see their faces. I wanted to know if time had changed anything. I took the elevator down, setting my breath, unaware that what they were about to see would make my mom's knees buckle, and that the story they believed about me was about to collapse all at once when the elevator doors opened. I saw them standing there, my parents side by side, dressed like they were visiting a government office, not realizing they were already in one of the most expensive commercial buildings in the city. My brother wasn't with them. That alone told me this wasn't a celebration visit. My mom's smile froze when she saw me walk toward them, confident, composed, wearing a tailored blazer with my company logo pinned near the collar. My dad straightened up, eyes scanning the lobby behind me, the glass walls, the reception desk with my name etched cleanly into metal. I could almost hear the unspoken question forming in his mind. This wasn't supposed to be my life. This wasn't the outcome he'd planned when he told me my brother had real potential and I should learn a trade. I greeted them politely, professionally. No hugs, no warmth, just distance earned over 5 long years. My mom asked almost nervously if this was really where I worked. I nodded and said yes, this was my office. Not an office. Mine dot as we walked past conference rooms and assistants who nodded at me with respect. My dad's steps slowed. His shoulders sagged slightly like gravity had increased. My mom reached out and grabbed the back of a chair to steady herself. That's when it happened. What they saw made my mom's knees buckle. Not because of luxury, but because of realization. The kind that hits when denial finally runs out of places to hide. We sat down, and for a moment, no one spoke. Then my dad cleared his throat, the same way he had 5 years ago, but this time it wasn't confident. It was fragile. He said my brother was struggling. The university hadn't gone as planned. The business idea he'd funded with the rest of the money had failed. Debt had piled up. They needed help. He didn't say sorry. Not yet. He said, family helps family. I looked at him and felt something unexpected. Not anger, not satisfaction, but clarity. I remembered that day vividly. My brother convinced my parents to give him my entire college fund, all 175K of it. I remembered my dad shrugging. I remembered him telling me to learn a trade. I remembered how alone I felt walking out that door. I told them the truth calmly. I told them I did learn a trade. Then I mastered it. Then I built a company around it. I told them no one handed me anything. No safety net. No second chances. I told them that when they chose my brother, they also chose to step out of my future decisions. My mom started crying quietly. My dad finally looked at me, not past me, not through me, but at me and said he'd been wrong. It was the first time I'd ever heard that word from him, wrong. He said he thought I'd be fine, that I was strong, that he didn't think the money would matter as much to me. I almost laughed at that. Instead, I told him strength doesn't mean being disposable. They asked if I could help my brother. I said no, not out of revenge, out of boundaries. I told them I'd help with advice, with direction, but not money. Not after everything. Not when I'd built this from nothing, while he was given everything and squandered it. My dad nodded slowly like he was finally understanding the cost of his decisions. When they left, my mom hugged me tightly, whispering that she was proud of me. It felt late, but it was real, and that mattered. After they were gone, I stood alone in my office, looking out over the city I now called home. I thought about that 22-year-old girl who walked out without arguing, without crying. I wished I could tell her that one day the same words meant to limit her would become the foundation she stood on. That being told to learn a trade wouldn't shrink her future. It would sharpen it. That sometimes the people who underestimate you unknowingly hand you the greatest gift, freedom from their expectations. If you're listening to this and you've ever been overlooked, dismissed, or told you didn't have potential, remember this: potential isn't something other people assign to you. It's something you prove to yourself step by step when no one is watching. And if you want more real, powerful stories like this, stories about quiet resilience, earned success, and moments that change everything. Subscribe to the channel now. You never know which story will feel like it was written just for you.